Welcome in on this Friday as we are counting down the minutes until the Rose Bowl. New Year's Day. Thanks for being with us. And, we've been sitting around for about a month now waiting for this game. And it's the weekend of the game. And we extended out to Monday. Thanks for being with us here. Excited to talk about Michigan and Alabama coming up. We're talking about Michigan all year long. I think about, going back to the summer and, how the team's going to be and making all the predictions of the team and the players and everything else. And then here we are. It's all come together on this Friday. And now we just have to wait till Monday at 5:00, the Hayes in the barn, and got to wait for them to see how they're going to do out there. Going to talk all about the Rose Bowl. I've got some questions that I am going to ask and answer. As always, if you want to get involved, you can. If you are watching this live, of course, if you're, watching this after the fact or listening to it on the podcast, you know that we are here live. And when we do take your feedback. So just know that. We'll start with some news and notes with the Wolverines. There's some stuff, even though the game, and, you may just be sitting around. It was part of what I was thinking of today when I was walking around. I was like, man, am I really going to be able to make it till Monday? I'm ready. I'm ready for the game, right now. And then, but there's a few things that, but there's other games, of course. And there's actually some other Michigan things. Like if you just totally Michigan, which, is understandable. Some people are just only Michigan all the time, which, is also understandable. I like people that are all Michigan all the time. So the other news, so Michigan, the transfer portal is out there. There's some players that Michigan was interested in, like Damani Jackson, who's going to Alabama. And then, there's others that they have been able to bring in, like the linebacker Jayshon Barnum last week. It was actually on signing day that Michigan was able to secure a commitment from the highly touted Maryland linebacker. And that was some good news. And then was it yesterday or the day before, Michigan is able to bring in an offensive line transfer, a guard in Josh Preby, who was at Northwestern and was all Big Ten third team, started 12 games at left guard for the Wildcats. And he put that tweet out saying he was committed and he's excited for the next chapter. So Michigan has got a pair of players committed out of the transfer portal. And we knew that they had done so well last year when it came down to the portal. So, that is some good news. Meanwhile, you get some and then you lose some. And the NCAA transfer portal, the freshman corner Cam Calhoun has announced that he is out of Ann Arbor and is headed to the portal. And, he was one of the pair of highly touted corners in last year's class, the 23 class, along with Jair Hill. But, I say that, and DJ Waller, who was also in last year's class, he got a lot more run. He might have got more run than any of the corners. And so maybe that's it. It's going to happen. You don't like that too, but it's a reality and it does happen. Meanwhile, Joey Velasquez makes as much news for playing baseball in college that he did football. And I had him down as a 19, but I guess he had another year and, he's bouncing to see, if he can get some PT somewhere or whatever. Best of luck to both of those guys when it comes down to the transfer portal and what's going on. Richard, I don't want to make this sound like it's negative, but all year long he's been talking about Michigan being 15-0. I mean, he is one track behind. He has made sure that he has pointed out that Michigan is on their way to 15-0. And, here they set 13-0. Richard, you're there, and it could be happening, like you say. Christmas is coming on. Hope you had a great Christmas, but we're into the holiday season, with the new year coming on full steam ahead. You want to know what's going on with Michigan? Still time this year to give yourself a great gift, the gift of the Maize and Blue Review. You want to know what the latest is with the transfer portal, what's going on with the team, practice, anything going on there on the basketball side as well. Well, that's why you join up with the Maize and Blue Review today. You go to michigan.rivals.com. And if you're somebody that's just like, I want Michigan all the time, all day, all night, I don't care about anything else. Well, then, the Maize and Blue Review is for you. Exactly. It was made for you. Why would I answer a potential when it comes through and it says potential spam? No, thanks. I was answering, it'd say potential spam, and I would pick up, and then they would be like, there'd be nobody there. And so I would start carrying on a conversation or telling them, if, whatever. And then, my wife is saying, what's probably, don't do that. It's probably like AI picking up your voice, and then they're going to like AI can find my voice pretty easily. It's all around, but I don't know. That got me sidetracked a little bit. All right, some other news and notes before I get to some questions about Michigan. And if you have any, fire away. I'll answer any questions that you have about this game. You got anything to say about it? Anything you're wondering about it? You want me to talk about? Go ahead, put it up there, and we will get to it. We've had some fun out there. You see Saban and Harbaugh over there at Disneyland. A lot of smiles, happiest place on earth, taking it in. Those guys were in floats in a parade, it looked like. And then yesterday, the Tide players were asked about watching film, and they said that they have set aside their tablets and are watching film in groups. And this is related to, Michigan and Harbaugh being suspended during the year and all of that. And then you had to ask yourself if this is any big deal. What's this? Oh my gosh. Are we really talking about this heading into the Rose Bowl? Yeah, you were going to. Guess what? On Monday, they'll be talking about it as well. I'm watching all the bowl games, and you know what they do when they get to halftime? They talk about that situation, and they'll be doing it on Monday too. But you knew that. And as far as though this was created on the Alabama side, you say, what's Nick Saban? Is he pulling a fast one here? He's got all those championships. Nick Saban, I think I think maybe two things. He looked at this and do I think he has any really reason to do it? I don't know. Can you ever be too safe when it comes down to your cyber footprint or anything that you're putting out there or secrets online? Probably not. And maybe that was something he just thought, we better tighten things down with all of that. Maybe that was the reason. Maybe he thought he would put it out there and just to rile Michigan up. And maybe Michigan's in their heads a little bit. So it's one of those three. The one thing, like, did I say there was two? I think it's one of those three things. Like, your next door neighbor's garage gets broken in. So you're like, hey, maybe I'll put an extra lock on it. Now, maybe you're Saban, is doing something to plant some kind of seed where, he'll be able to go back later and say, oh yeah, whatever. Or it could be like, he's in their heads a little bit. So it's not really, however, as far as Michigan goes, the players have been dealing with this. I don't think they're in Michigan's heads. It gives the fans and the media something else to fan the flames and go back. And if you're a Michigan fan, you say, well, kind of how we have talked about all year long that, people are making a mountain out of a molehill. Or you can be on the other side, and just go with anything you want and say anything you want. And it's still that kind of situation. Meanwhile, today, Michigan answered back, and JJ McCarthy, what did he have to say? He was asked about the tablets. Oh, JJ said today that Michigan ditched the tablets back in November with everything that's been going on. So, JJ kind of shrugging that off. I don't know if they're trying to get under their skin, whatever. The last time these guys are going to talk until they're going to let the play do the talking out on the field. And that's that. Now, if you're a fan and you want to use it for some fuel, get online, fire back at some Bama fans, some Ohio State fans. That's been going on for a couple months now. And, if you back and forth, you can do that as well. So that's it. Steve is on top of the story. He's knows that Michigan is doing the same thing with their tablets. Richard is hoping that the players are as confident in our team as he is. I think Michigan is very confident. I was standing next to Chris Jenkins, was it last past Monday or the Monday before recently. And, he was asked about a lot of people saying that, it's Alabama, and most of the talk being about Alabama. And Jenkins was like, he gave an honest answer, an honest answer. And it's that, when it comes to the championships and everything that Nick Saban has, and so the profile of Alabama, it was understandable, that people are going to look at Alabama like they're big bad Alabama, and they got Nick Saban as their head coach. And then this, so he said that, and they said, we're looking forward to going out there and showing everybody what we can do. Very very just like matter of fact, and it's kind of like how he delivered it. He was like, yeah, I'm paraphrasing. They're going to see what kind of game we have. And Michigan's excited for that. And it's one of the questions that I've posed and I'm going to answer in just a minute or two about Michigan and why I think they're going to win. And it's not that something that Jenkins said that it's because of what he said. It's just overall what I have seen, but that was part of it. Andres is saying that it's going to be a great game. He's very confident in Michigan's defense. I think you should be confident in Michigan's defense. That's one of the questions I have straight ahead as well. Andres, the former poster known as Andres, now, he's into his golf thing. And this should come as no surprise. Haley's Comet comes around once every 70 years, and so does Hadley. Hadley, about once every 7 months, comes around and delivers some feedback. And he says, he's hoping for a good 24. Well, we can really start it out with a bang, Hadley, can't we? I can tell you that the first day is going to set the tone for me, whether or not I'm going to have a good 24 or not. So his question is, what will the Big Ten's bowl record be this year? And I think the Bama quarterback will be our biggest issue to win this game. Your thoughts? Yeah, Jalen Milroe, I think he's the biggest factor. Quarterback always is. He's a run, dual threat quarterback. Alabama really seemed to get things going. After he was benched early in the season, he came back and he's got a real nice touchdown interception ratio. And, he looks every bit the part of a, star college quarterback. So I think we're all in agreement there. As far as the Big Ten, you look at Maryland, and if they had Talia and they had Jay Shaw Barnum, ended up, transferring to Michigan. Like, I think Penn State's got a chance. I hope Ohio State loses. So, but they'll probably win. I mean, it's a toss-up against Missouri. What I'm saying to you here is the games, Iowa. Iowa's got a better chance now because Joe Milton is opted out of the Citrus Bowl or whatever they call it now. So, I picked Iowa to definitely stay with a number. Did I pick them to win outright? I'd have to go back and look. It's on this feed in our bowl picks, but I did pick Penn State. I think that with both running backs, ready to go for Penn State and their quarterback. They haven't had as many opt-outs. I think that they'll win. And but I don't think Maryland will because of all of the players that they lost. And I feel I'm going to be rooting for U of M over Ohio State. That's Missouri, but that's tonight. And I think Michigan's going to win. So as far as the overall record, I guess we'd have to go through and look exactly what that's going to be. And we'll be able to do that next year. Greg with the question that's on everybody's mind that we will get to. I don't think that Greg, a little spoiler, I don't think for my answer to that I have that question, I don't think it's decided yet. I don't think Jim Harbaugh is out there in Pasadena right now saying, "Yep, you know what? Sure, hope we win the national championship, and then I'm out. I'm out with the Chargers." Do I think that he knows what I think he likes the attention that comes with January Jim, with the NFL. And do I think there's a chance that he go to the NFL? Sure, I do. I think all of that, but I don't think that it's decided yet. And let's get into those questions, maybe burning questions. We do have some time between now and 5 o'clock on New Year's Day. Michigan is holding steady at 1.5. I know for a lot of people, this is where their source of confidence comes from. If Michigan was an underdog in this game, they'd say, well, Vegas knows something. Or when, all of the money is just poured in on Alabama, you look and see, they show you where the tickets and how much money is being spent and who's betting on who. Like everyone is betting on Alabama, and Vegas is still sitting there saying, okay, we're going to book this game. And, they're going to hold, they're holding fast with Michigan. They're not dropping the line. They're just sitting back. And that could be a reason for you to feel like, hey, Vegas has got those fountains and those, they're beautiful hotels and everything for a reason, so having Vegas on your side, there's worse things to feel confident about. That's not, a bad one. All right. So when it comes down to questions, I put a few out here. You can answer them. I'm going to answer them. And let's get to that first one. How do you feel about Michigan's chances in the Rose Bowl? I feel good about Michigan's chances. I feel good because Michigan has star players, difference makers. I could run through the whole roster here, but I'll start with JJ McCarthy and I'll go to, Blake Corum, and I look on the outside at the receivers that they have. Michigan has not just one, not just two, they have a bunch of different playmakers, and, they can match fire with fire when it comes down to Alabama. And in some years past, when it would be, Alabama, I'd be scared of Alabama too. A couple of years ago when Alabama was out there and they had Mac Jones, they had Devontae Smith, and they had, all these guys, NFL, Ruggs, all these, outstanding wideouts. And, not that they don't have, excellent players now, but they don't have the kind of talent. This isn't like you're going to get smashed by Alabama. Michigan matches up. It doesn't matter who you're listening to. If anybody's making it sound like Michigan doesn't match up, like talent-wise, and, maybe they're throwing some of the recruiting rankings out there, we talked about all this. Michigan was able to use name, image, and likeness this year to bring a lot of their players back, and that matched up with the kind of talent, that five-star talent that Nick Saban that Nick Saban acquires and is able to keep around. And so Michigan can look them in the eye when it comes down to, talent that way. So, that's why I like Michigan's chances. And, the other thing, and it was Christmas night, and this can happen to me. It does happen to me. It happens on holidays. It happens to me when I'm sitting around on Thanksgiving watching the Lions. You get a little sentimental. And you start thinking about, life and everything. And so I'm doing all that on Christmas. I drop my mom off. I come home and, it's late, and I start watching the Ravens and 49ers, great NFL matchup. And Mike McDonald's defense stymies the 49ers, who, are the odds on favorite to win the Super Bowl. And, they come up with the 3 turnovers, and, McDonald's defense is awesome. And after the game, I'm looking it up and I'm like, are the Ravens the best defense in the NFL? They have the best scoring defense in the NFL, McDonald's defense. And then I look, and as you know, in college football, Michigan has the number one scoring defense. So the McDonald and his pal Minter, number one scoring defenses in the NFL and the college game. That makes me feel good. And it's one of those things where I just take a step back, because there's a lot of people like, well, the defense, when you have the team signals, at least gets into your mind a little bit. You think about it. But what Michigan has done this year, take the signals and put it over here. They don't have any of that, the signals. They've done it with scheme and players, the talent, and coaching acumen. That's what's happened. And, so I really I forgot who said it, I think it was Greg who was saying, he really likes the Michigan defense. And yeah, you should. That should give you a lot of confidence. Michigan's defense, the talent that they have, the scheme. And, if we're looking at the numbers, and they have a better defense than Alabama. So, yeah, that's why I like Michigan's chances. I like their offense with their playmakers. I like their defense. They're number one in the country. And it's borne out over a couple of seasons now. From McDonald to Minter and the players that they have in this scheme. And it's not lost on me from the NFL to the college ranks. That helps. Offense, defense, and Michigan special teams. I don't know. Tommy Doman, he's a weapon. James Turner from the Louisville transfer out of Saline, who, what did he pot? 4 field goals in the Big Ten championship game, made one against Ohio State, 50-yarders. I mean, this guy's money. I wasn't expecting that. And, oh, yeah, Samaj Morgan coming off that 87-yard punt return in Indianapolis. I like Michigan on special teams. They've got the talent. We should feel good about them. Let's get to some more questions. We'll see how the people are answering some of these questions. So let's go through. I asked a question about, how do I feel about the game? And let's see. GMA says he thinks a big factor is the offense keeping Bama off balance. Got to keep the sub package off the field. He thinks Roman Wilson is going to have a big game. I could see that. Richard says Colston Loveland as well. Greg making his prediction, saying that Michigan is going to beat Alabama by 7. Greg, that lines up with my prediction. I have Michigan 27, Alabama 20. So I'm right there with you. I think Michigan does have a great chance to win. Harvey is feeling good about our chances. Andre says the Lions meet the Browns in the Super Bowl. I won't feel bad for the Cats. If it's the Lions and Browns, I think the world will end. Wow, Alabama's best days are in the rearview mirror. We will win. I don't know. Nick Saban, I know he's 71 years old, so so their best days are behind him. Maybe when it comes down to that. Hadley's talking about the Big Ten being 3-0 so far with 6 to go. I have 5 of us and an 80% chance of winning. Wow. Will we see the orgy package in the Rose Bowl? I think there's a good chance of that. Why not? Besides, people already mentioned Roman Wilson and Colston Loveland, and we know that short yardage, Blake Corum has been fabulous this year, and he's pretty good running back, and then I look at, then you start getting to some wild cards. I'll put Donovan Edwards out there as a wild card. Feels like one for me. Versatile. Maybe they'll think that he'll be, going out and they'll be trying to get a mismatch in the passing game. I would think that they would try to do that, but also He's a wild card running the ball. He can take it the distance. But a wild card because he's a home run hitter. It's like bringing, like a big power hitter off the bench, late in the innings, like Gibby against Eckersley or something. You're bringing him out there. He's swinging for the fences. I like him as a wild card. I like Samaj Morgan as a wild card as well. I think, hey, look out on the reverses for Samaj Morgan. I mean, Nick Saban will know that. The Alabama defense will know that. But he can also catch the ball as well. So I don't know if that's him as a wild card, but then Orji is a wild card. Especially if they're putting him in there in Alabama, you'll see him like, oh, Orji, he's running the ball. And then he throws the ball. To me, that would be a wild card. And I like that wrinkle. I like the idea of getting guys going left. We watch all this tape. Jerry Diorio, who's out in California, Jim Scarcelli, who will join us after the game on Monday. These guys are watching all this film like, look at this, look at all this stuff. Look at all the options they have with Orji. Orji throwing the ball. I think that, as you come down and start talking about as a wild card, you can see that. And, Freddie saying play the game will be fine. Don't get too cute like last year. Well, there's a nice thought there. Too cute because they came down with the Philly special on that first drive and were stopped. And I'm going to guarantee that Michigan, if they get inside the 5-yard line, they're not going to be going to any Philly special. They're going to be just running the ball to Corum. You might not. Then you'll say, "Damn it!" They're telegraphing what they're going to. It doesn't matter. Like they are telegraphing it. I know it, and you know it. Michigan, when they are in a short yardage situation, they are They are running the ball to Blake Corum. Now they did that in the first 6 situations against Ohio State. Then they did peel off and throw one to Loveland. So, but when you get down towards the goal line, Corum was so great this year with his nose for the goal line that I don't think that they'll be doing anything fancy down there. I think you're going to get a heavy dose of number 2 down on the goal line. All right, let's get another question in here. This one is about Michigan the last 2 years in the college football playoff. Hey, Michigan was in this position the last 2 years. Why is this year different? Well, 2 years ago, to answer it quickly, is that I think Michigan was happy to be there. And they took on a Georgia team where you look at all those guys that are playing for the Philadelphia Eagles right now, and that was a stacked team. And so Michigan was it had been so long since they won the Big Ten, and they won the Big Ten championship, and then they get into the college football playoff. They were happy to be there. Last year, this is a good reminder for anything that goes on when it comes to football. Michigan should have beat TCU. They did have what you would almost say a bye. They were a heavy favorite against TCU, but it wasn't the Philly special that ultimately cost them. But remember, then they had 2 pick sixes. Then they had a fumble on the goal line. Then they, with all of that in a 3-point game, they're sitting there in a 3rd and 7. Quentin Johnston, that's playing for the Los Angeles Chargers now, DJ Turner had him dead to rights to stop him before the first down, didn't get him on the ground, and he took off for 76 yards. You give up, you have 2 pick sixes, you're fumbling up. That's how you lose ball games. So we don't even have to say that. But so why would this year be different? I think that experience, you have the players, you have the coaches, you have the experience, and no, you didn't want all those turnovers and everything else. But do I think that that's helped McCarthy now where he is at and the rest of this team? I mean, it's given them that kind of experience where they're in here. Was Alabama? Have they been in the college football? When's the last time they were in a college football playoff? I mean, I know it's like the big stage. Michigan's players have more experience than Alabama when it comes to games like this. Now, not Saban, and the Saban is a factor, but you know what? Saban's going to be a factor against every single coach that he goes up against. But this is where Harbaugh comes into play. And like Harbaugh's not taking a back seat. Like I don't feel like that. I know Saban has all the championships, but I don't think that Jim Harbaugh's taking much of a back seat, if any, to Nick Saban when it's coming down to in-game coaching, how he's going to get his players prepared, game plan across the board. I feel like, and there's only a handful of coaches or teams in the country that could even try to say that without other people laughing at him. But there's nobody laughing. Harbaugh can match wits with Nick Saban. So, all of that makes me feel like, this year can be different about that. And, like I know that Michigan was a heavy favorite. Now they're just a slight favorite, and they're not going to take it for granted. All of those things, little pieces, but I do think that these guys came back with the idea of, and you don't usually want to say that we're already thinking about national championship or bust, but Blake Corum essentially did say that in the preseason, and this team has been focused on getting to the championship game and winning it. Not just winning the Big Ten, which is great. Not just beating Ohio State again, which is always something that you love. Not just getting to the college football, it's winning it. So, that's what is different. Experience to go along with the talent and the coach. And so I think, that's why this team, I don't know about a team of destiny, although, if they win it, you can make a case for that. But I don't know about that sitting here right now, but I do like their chances when it comes down, to that. Let's go. Vic saying Michigan has grown men on the team. Yeah, a lot of experience. Feel good about that. Freddie is saying he hears a lot of people saying we need to run JJ a lot. How do you feel about that game plan? JJ McCarthy is a reason to feel really good about Michigan's chances. I mean, this is a quarterback that a lot of NFL teams would want to be under center for their franchise for the next decade or so. He's the real deal. And he is a dual threat quarterback. Now, thing is, he got banged up in the Penn State game. One of the biggest plays in the Penn State game early on, the defense got to stop when Penn State drove the field. And the first touchdown that Michigan ended up scoring against the Nittany Lions, it was Donovan Edwards, who I think like on a 3rd and 9 ended up running like a 20-yard touchdown. And if you go back when Michigan was, still in their own territory, it was a 3rd and 10 when they called a design run for JJ, and he picked it up on a 3rd and 10, ran. JJ having the month off and being able to throw and run, that's his game. So, with people saying we need to run JJ, JJ needs to be when JJ is at his best. And JJ has been at his best in the big games. Now, you can go back to last year's college football playoff and the pick sixes. We've just gone over that. Right. That doesn't mean that he's going to throw pick sixes here, but he's got the ability to make people miss. He's, if I would guess, he's got, they talked about maybe him having sub 4.5 speed, but he's fast. He's fast. He's elusive. And, I think a lot is being made of Milroe. Like, oh, Milroe can run it and he can throw it. Well, so can McCarthy. And I'll take JJ McCarthy if given the choice. As much as everybody's talking about Milroe, they should be talking as much about McCarthy. I can't set the narratives and, everybody, ooh, Milrose. McCarthy, a month off. I actually think if we're listing out all of the things that are going to go on in this game and what it's going to come down to, I think the number one factor in this game is that JJ McCarthy has had a month off after being nicked up late in the season. The number one factor in this game. Number 9, a month off. And now, yeah, Freddie, with his ability to not only throw the ball, but to actually run it as well. I mean, obvious or not, I don't hear when I hear the experts talking about this game after they get done with all the Harbaugh, and everything else, Milroe. I don't hear a lot of people talking about McCarthy being able to do it with both. And so Michigan fans talking about JJ running it, they're smart. They know that. You know that. Let's see what Rico has to say. We'll see how y'all's biggest competition and the only decent teams y'all played do against the SEC today and tomorrow. LOL. Hey, Rico, we'll see how y'all do on Monday. I feel pretty good about it. It ain't like y'all went out there and, stomped everybody and you're rolling in here. And I don't know how y'all, but Vegas has y'all as the underdog. I don't think it matters how y'all do against the other Big Ten teams or anything else today. What matters is Monday. Get out of here with that, Rico. Trash. You take that bot that has put some Southern language in there, acting like a Bama fan, and get on back to Southern Alaska. Or, I'm sorry, Southern Russia. I don't know, whatever. Y'all. Let's get to some more questions. Here's one that people were asking about earlier. Oh, Jim Harbaugh, he's gone to the NFL. What about JJ? He's going to the NFL. What about the portal? Hey, look. Harbaugh, I remember after the 2020 season, he was getting pressed on. Well, why didn't you sign anything? Let it play out and everything else. He said, look, I'll paraphrase him. Judge me on my actions. Well, then, the next year he was off to Minnesota, and then he said he wasn't going to do anything again. He was done, and then he was interviewing twice last year. So I will judge him on his actions. He might be trying to just get to any NFL job, but he might be out of here. I mean, it kind of looks like that. I certainly think that he wants to entertain the speculation, or he likes the speculation and likes all of it and get in there. He likes it. And as far as it, working against, maybe it does work against Michigan and recruits and the transfer portal and everything else, but he doesn't think so. He likes it enough, the attention on himself, that he continues to do it. Old January Jim. Now, look, it sounds like I'm being real critical and mocking him, and I think I am a little bit. But he's also continued to win, and I know that the best thing for Michigan football is what I care about. The best thing for Michigan football is to get him signed up and then he comes back to Michigan and ends his career here. Whether it be 5 more years, 10 more years, whatever it would be. That would be best. But is there a chance that he's going to go to the NFL? There is. Is there but I don't think it's been decided yet. I don't think that he's sitting around like, tell the Chargers that this is what I want. I think that you can tell him whatever you want, and after the season's over, we'll get to it. But I think he's concentrating on Alabama. I don't think he's sitting around, thinking about sweeteners and any kind of are the Bears going to make. I don't think he's doing any of that. I feel very confident in that. So it hasn't been decided yet. I get the speculation. I'm part of it as well. I'm talking about it right now. But I don't think his mind is made up right now. And McCarthy, he said, he thinks he's NFL ready now. Like, I think that J.J. McCarthy would probably be a first-round pick this year, which, a lot of guys would go. But I don't think it's 100%. And I don't even know if it's 50%. But when you play like McCarthy does, if he has a really good game, which all of you want him to do, besides that hillbilly that got in here, uh, if he doesn't play well, is that going to knock his stock down just a little bit? Like, maybe he's in a top 10 to 15 pick right now, and it doesn't matter. And which could happen. But I don't think he doesn't have to make that decision right now. And if I had to bet on it, I don't think that he's 100% made his decision. That's my thoughts on it. And how the transfer portal is going to play out, and how the NIL, how Michigan's team is going to be shaped, who they're going to bring in, a lot of it's going to have to do with McCarthy and Harbaugh. And they haven't made their decisions. A lot of it is going to depend on what happens on Monday and after. So, yeah, we're talking about it all, but because we're just all sitting around, we got time to kill before they kick off on Monday. But Monday is going to matter with these things. How big, we can all sit around and talk about all that and everything else. So that's how I sit with it. People and I play the for instance game as much as anybody else, but everybody's like, would you rather have, no, this is what you would rather have in the would you rather questions. You would rather have Michigan win on Monday, and then you would rather have Michigan win on January the 8th and win a national championship with anything else that goes along with it. That's what you want. So any of the other focus, we'll talk about everything else. Beat Alabama and then beat either Texas or Washington and win the national championship. And then, I'll be, gnashing my teeth and, about it all as well. But let's not lose focus on the most important thing by a million miles. And that's beating Alabama and winning the next game. That's what's the important part. Not about when anybody from a rival website or some guy that doesn't have all of his teeth down in Alabama getting on here and trying to ride. None of that stuff matters. It's about winning on Monday. That's what matters. Come on. We all know that. So do I have all the questions in there? Oh, yeah, that's it. The portal. That's where we were. So that's where I am. That's how I'm thinking about it. I have made the prediction of Michigan 27 and Alabama 20. That's it. I'll take some feedback. We really need to stop the long ball early. It's going to be a close game. We become the favorite. If they hit long passes early, we're in trouble. Well, I would like for Michigan to get off to a fast start. I would not like to give up deep passes like you're talking about here. But here's the thing. I mean, hang in there. Like, it's a championship game. Like, don't freak out too much, Jason. I remember going back and covering the Tigers in 2006, and it was, getting like to be August, and, there's big series with the White Sox coming in, and the Tigers, they're only going to play them, one more time, and it's going to be in Chicago. So everything's on the line, down there for the game. Jim Leland's over there. Jim, how big of a series, is this with the White? He looks like, it's not that big of a series. What I can't put everything, that, but he explained it by saying, look, you can't put everything into the series because, what if they lose? What are they going to tell them now? So it's just like, Jason, like, sure, you don't want to give up long passes, but what if you do? Don't, you might give up some big plays. Don't just go, oh, it's over. Anything else, hang in there. Of course, you don't want to see turnovers and long passes to the other team or trailing. I don't see anything. I don't know. Like, here I am telling everybody, hey, keep a positive mindset, and I know people are going to be freaking out. I normally, I'll be standing probably. I stand a lot during the games, so I don't know. It's crazy. that kind of stuff. But I mean, I hear you. Harvey taking a shot at the guy that was in here. Let's go. Here's Hadley. He's got some. There's talk that if Harbaugh left and Michigan asked Brian Kelly to take the job, he would. I'd rather play in traffic than having him as our coach. What do you say? I say that there is zero chance that Brian Kelly will coach at Michigan, Hadley. That's not happening. I think that if Harbaugh goes to the pros, I think Michigan should, and I think they will. Certainly, if you were somebody that you wanted to rile people up a little bit, you could say there should be a national search, and I get that kind of talk. But I think that if I was making the hire and Harbaugh left, I would go with Sharon Moore as the head coach, and that's how I would go about it. He would be my pick. I'd go with Sharon Moore as the next coach at Michigan. And I hope he's not the next head coach at Michigan. I hope it's going to be Jim Harbaugh and he comes back. But that's my answer right now. You don't have to like that. You could want to, put an interim tag on him. You could want to do a national search, look for somebody like Brian Kelly or somebody else, whoever. There's a lot of people that like, the coach out there at Washington, DeBoer, throw a big bag at him. Sure, all those things are going to be said, but I'll go with Sharon Moore. I like him if Harbaugh goes to the pros. That's how I see it. So that's it. That is it. I don't know. I got a Michigan basketball game tonight. Bowl games. I picked Kentucky. Oh, look at this. I'm gonna make it sound like I put like the house and boat on Kentucky. I put very little, but I did put something on the Wildcats outright. And here I am with a 5-point lead in this game. We'll see how I do. Enjoy the bowl games. Now there's some interesting ones. I enjoyed Arizona's victory late last night. I was done after watching the Pistons lose in overtime to Boston. Those games are crazy now, watching the Pistons here the last couple games. And, all these bowl games, Lions playing the Cowboys tomorrow night. We got a New Year's Eve with Week 17 in the NFL. And then we have Monday. Happy New Year to everyone. I will talk with you on the other side after the game. Let me amend that. Talk with you on this very feed tonight after the Michigan basketball game, McNeese State, a little bit after 9 o'clock. And then I will talk with you after the game. New Year's Eve next year. What are you talking about? Around 8:30? Excuse me. Maybe Michigan can just run the ball a bunch after they get a big cushion. But 27-20, and I'm talking about Michigan going on to a championship on January the 8th in Houston, Texas at NRG Stadium, which holds over 70,000. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later tonight after the basketball game or after Michigan, Alabama.